This is John Sito. Welcome back to another episode of 30XED. This version is not a Latino version. This version we're going to do in English because I have a special guest, a talented artist, a friend from a while back. And he's been all over the place in Hollywood and all over Southern California and other places that he's going to talk about today. His name is Anthony de la Cruz. Welcome, Anthony. Thank you for being on this show today.
Good to see you again, John. It's been a while. Let's catch up.
Yeah, it's been a while. How you been? How's everything going? You've been doing all kinds of crazy things. I follow you on the social media and yeah, you're doing some great things. So we're gonna talk about that in a few minutes. How's
Okay.
everything
Yeah.
going? Good?
Everything's going well. I'm just, this game, that we play here in this industry. It's like, you got to work out ahead and project. And so I'm in the middle of that, just trying to transition from pretty much what I did this past year and position myself for 2025.
Nice. Yeah, that's a winner. That's a winner's mentality right there. Got to think ahead and plan ahead. So let me start with asking you, where were you born? Where are you from originally?
So I am originally from Southern California, from a small farming town called Brawley, California. We're about straight across from San Diego, maybe 30 minutes north of Mexicali or Mexicali, just
Okay.
as San Diego is to Tijuana, and about an hour from the Arizona border, right on Interstate 8. So right our backyard is Glamis, the giant sand dunes where they film all the movies with, like
Right.
Star Wars, Stargate, and
Right.
more recently Dune and stuff like that. So that's where
Okay.
I'm originally from. Mhm.
Okay. And how long did you live there?
18 years pretty much, man.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't at the time during our era, back in the 80s, um, you were trying to get out of the house, right? You were like,
Right.
gotta go live my life, gotta get start my life. And so immediately about 19, I'm already, living in San Diego. So, but I mean, I was raised out there,
Okay.
my where we're from, it's mainly farming, but we got like 3 World Series pitchers, we've got a
Okay.
boxer, and a few actors out there, but you know,
Nice. So
it's
you
weird.
went so you went to high school there.
I did.
Okay. And your family, do you have Latino origins, Mexican origins, or
Yeah. So my father is 100, well, again, okay, so he's Mexican American because he was born here. So was
Mhm.
my mom. So I'm second generation. But
Okay.
my abuelitos, they're from Mexicali. I'm not
Oh,
Mexicali, but
okay.
they're from like Mexico. So
Oh, okay. So as a kid, when you were growing up, your infancy, how would you describe that? Were you a happy kid? Were you a kid that had a lot of friends, stuck to that by yourself and in your mind, or what kind of kid were you?
I'm still trying to figure out who that kid is today, man. So
I
but
totally
yeah,
understand that.
so yeah, I was like, I think I was introverted, meaning mentally in my mind. I've always been like a visual, kind of do things in my head before I do them kind of guy. Even
Uh-huh.
since I was little, I was told by a friend how he tapped on my shoulder when we were in kindergarten, playing a little sandbox thingy, and he's like, I showed him. He was asking me what I was playing with, and he tapped me on my shoulder, and all I did was lift it up to show him and never looked at him. He said, and I put it back down, and I was like because I
Wow.
was like in my own little world. But
Right.
at the same time, yeah, I had some anger issues, bro. I grew up in a small town across the street from the projects. We used to throw down, and they would
Right.
test me out sometimes because I was a little bit, I didn't have an accent, and
Right.
being second generation, my parents, kind of didn't want me to have struggle in school like they did, so they taught
Right.
me English first. So, but for the most part, I mean, I played all this, every sport. My town is heavily into baseball. Like I said, we have 3 World Series pitchers out of there. My dad was a little league coach for 30 years. I played,
Mhm.
all sports all the way up and through high school until I,
Okay.
you know,
Took off.
failed out.
So during high school, did you ever had any kind of attraction towards drama or the arts, or when
Well,
did that start
yeah.
kicking in?
So this is where the flip side is kind of like I said, I'm kind of weird. Um, at the age of 10 years old, I started classical theory and piano. I started learning piano. I've been being trained in piano. So
Okay.
not only am I playing sports, I had to go every weekend and take piano lessons, right? So I was always kind of interested in arts. I was kind of good at both. And so when I was in high school, I did a couple of plays, but I'm not into theater like at all. And I did a little short film, that was a project, and that was fun, kind of like what I feel like I could do now. But through the most part, I was a musician. I could play pretty much today. I can play almost any instrument. I'm a
Okay.
composer. I write soundtrack stuff and theme song stuff. So all that was in there while I was growing up too. So in high school, I did both. It was funny because you get guys that want to bully you for being, a piano player, but then I'm on the field and I knock them down and I,
Right.
show them what I can do on the field. Then they back up and they're like, "Oh, hey, don't mess with the piano, bro. He can he can handle himself." You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was always balanced like that, but I always knew in here, I guess I would be on the creative side, eventually, because that was like breathing, talking, walking.
Right. Right. Oh, awesome. So so you get, did you have brothers and sisters? Did you grow up with brothers and sisters, or were you a lonely kid, the only kid?
Well, I do have two brothers and a sister,
Okay.
and they're all great at what they do, but nobody in my family but me was artistic.
Okay.
No one really played musical instruments or understood why I was gifted like I was in, piano and all that.
Right.
And so it's hard to kind of reference that, but I was also the opposite, like the black sheep.
Mhm.
Even though I'm the oldest,
Okay.
I was the crazy one, I was all doing
Yeah.
all kinds of, and then my brother who's after me, I mean, he's a successful VP at a college, so they're more
Right.
on the analytical,
Yeah.
kind of type
Okay.
jobs and stuff.
Okay. Okay. So when did you move to Southern California? Like over here to did you move to where, San Diego or somewhere else after that?
To San Diego. So it was like, 2 hours straight across to the coast is all it was, right?
Hmm.
And so I moved there at age 19. At 19, just coming out with my friends, everyone's ready to get out of the house, not like today where my kids they don't want to go nowhere, but it's okay.
Right.
I like having them here, right? But anyway, so we were all, living together, homies just hanging out and roommating and, a bunch of people in the place, some people at the beach, some people inland, and,
Right.
you moved around a lot. I got my first job working for the city, which was kind of cool. I was making pretty good money, but
Okay.
I also felt like, oh shit, I can't do this forever. Like I feel like I was locked in.
Right.
I'm like, this is my job the rest of my life. Oh no, I
Right.
could see myself in 50 years. And so I pretty much after that I went to bartend at the Hotel Del. Now here's the weird part. Um, you get in the hotel and then you go up little ranks and I'm meeting all these famous people,
Right.
from shaking hands with President Bill Clinton to Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. Baywatch filmed their episode there. The old guys, Dick Clark, and
Hmm.
James Earl Jones who just passed away. I met him. So I'm meeting all these people, and I'm like, this is weird because I didn't. I guess I should set this up. Is that when I moved out of my house at 18, that was 8 years of classical theory and piano when I had it up to here. Like I was done with it. I
Right.
wanted to do other things, but there's no real opportunity out there. And where I grew up, and of course my parents didn't know what to do. So they're like, "No, you're staying in piano." And so by the time I was, like I said, ready to move out, I'm like, "No more piano, I'm done." And I really didn't play music for 10 whole years, dude.
Wow.
Like literally just a guitar, myself, personal,
Hmm.
Um, and then when I was at this, like I said, at the Hotel Del, and I'm meeting all these famous people, from musicians to actors to everything. I just thought it was interesting and weird. Like, why am I here? Like, why am I meeting all these people? Because my mind was nowhere on acting, nowhere.
Right.
It was not even on music. It was like, music,
Right. Right.
And then I had fun being a bartender, the hotel, then eventually Gaslamp and the beaches, and then you get to that age where it's like, okay, I gotta do something.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I got a job at a major bank, doing finance, auto finance, and
Hmm.
living the corporate life, stock options, all this stuff, and the opportunity to go up the ladder, and just like with the city, I was like, oh my god, I'm here, I'm stuck. This is what I'm at. This is the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm gonna hang out with these guys I can't relate to. I would. So by the time I'm like 27, 28, I'm fully vested. I'm like, I can't do this work no more. This is crazy. I can't, I'm, like, this
Right.
can't be my life. Right.
Yeah.
So I cashed in some stocks. I bought keyboards, computers, and all the stuff I would need to kind of get back into music.
Hmm.
And like I said, for me, it was like breathing and talking, so I wasn't worried about that part. And then, of course, it's so funny when I'm telling my coworkers, like, "Dude, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna quit." They're like, "What? What are you gonna do?" I was like, "I don't know. What?" I'm like, they're more crazy about it than me. Like, "What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I'm out of here." And so 30 days later, I'm on stage with the band, and then I
Nice.
started pursuing music for about 10 years, bro. And so many projects just failing. And you're in the industry,
Mm,
man. You can talk to
yeah,
this.
it's
You
hard.
need to,
Yeah.
yeah, you need to ship, and then all the crew to get
You
there.
you need to you needed to go to a freak off to get in
No.
to get in.
I didn't do it right, I guess. I don't even know. That was a good one. But yeah, there was crazy stuff like that. It's so funny you mentioned that is that, some I learned when I was trying to do music, like I actually did my first soundtrack for a movie like in early 2000 when I was doing the music.
Mhm.
I couldn't get it going with a band. I could do it on my own, because I can compose, do all the instruments. And somebody told me when I was doing, kind of going through all this, and they say, something about the music industry. Or he goes, the movie industry, they'll stab you in the back. He goes, but the music industry, they'll stab you in the chest. You
That's
know,
true. That's
it
true.
is, right?
Yeah,
You can agree to all that,
yeah,
huh?
it's true. Yeah. So
And
so so then so the music came back to you naturally because you already had pretty much were learned pretty master and you just didn't do it for a while. It was like
exactly.
riding a bike, I guess, to you, right? And
It was,
right,
yeah.
yeah, I totally understand that. And then what was the first thing that you remember, the thought that made you say, maybe I should try the drama, the acting, doing
So,
these kinds of things.
so yeah, thank you for asking. So I kind of stumbled into it, right? It wasn't my goal even at the time I was doing it. So what happened was, okay, so I'd been doing music for like 10 years, recording, doing all kind. I have my own little mini studio, kind of like I still have today, when I have to
Right.
do stuff. Um, so I was, I got to play like in different bands, but I played like the Troubadour up in LA. I played, House of Blues San Diego. I got to do cool stuff. Anyway,
Hmm.
so I finally like put this band together, and it's a three-piece. I'm doing bass lines with one keyboard, and and then we had a drummer and a guitar lead and whatever, and we got an EP. And by the grace of God, things happen for a reason. And I got a phone call, them somebody from UCLA, like for their thesis, it was the master class that they wanted to record the band for their thesis at UCLA. So this is like grad school, all this stuff, and then they had a jazz Grammy winner professor, right? And so we go record all the songs that we just written. Everything's original. It's kind of
Hmm.
80s rock, little hip hop beats sometimes with my drummer. Um, and my drummer, he's one of the, like a drummer who should be drumming. He wants to write and do all this. And it's like, oh, so we had a little friction going on, but on and off. And so we do the EP, and we got we're getting it back from mixing and all that. And I, my brother's friend was going to LA film school, and he needed to do a short film, and he was using my friends to do it, but none of my, I happened to be there. And my friend who was supposed to do it just kept, freezing up with the camera. Suddenly like this guy who just performs all the time just couldn't do anything. And so I step in and I do it, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, dude, you're pretty good. I'm like, thanks, man. I just left it at that. But there was this infomercial at the same time, right? There's this infomercial going on where I wanted the product. It was like a health cleansing product or whatever. And it
Hmm.
was like $400. I'm like, I'm gonna pay $400 for that. Are you kidding me? So it said if you get hired to do the testimonial, you get it for free. And I'm like,
Okay.
shoot, I'll go do that. So that's how here's how it kind of happens. So I go do that infomercial, and they're like, "Oh yeah, cool." And they're like, "Well, what do you do?" And at the time, I was running, uh, high rises, doing property management for HOAs and business park
Hmm.
HOA, doing all that boring stuff because I don't like being a starving artist. I always had a good
Right.
job,
Right.
and so I was doing all that at the same time. And they're like, "Well, let's," I told them I did that, and I have a band. They're like, "Oh, let's film your band for the commercial." And dude, come on, talk about free advertising, playing at
Right.
midnight every night, right? I'm like, they're gonna know who we are. We got to recorded over at Westlake Studios, where Michael Jackson's Thriller, Limp Bizkit, Mary J. All the greats have recorded there. So we had a great product, got this infomercial, lined up, and then my drummer doesn't show up for the shoot, bro.
Oh, wow.
Bro, he says, "It's more for you than the band." I'm like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Don't you see the
Why does it always
So
have to be the drummers that mess it up? I had a band too, and the drummer was the main problem guy.
I just can't even talk to
I
that
don't
dude
know.
because
Hey, no offense. I have a drummer friend right now, Terry. No offense to you, man. I know you're a cool drummer. You've been pretty cool so far. So thanks for holding the camera the other day on the music video. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. It continues.
so basically what happens is he doesn't show up for the shoot, and I'm mad because it's only two of us there because we're a three-piece, right? And
Right.
so they're trying to shoot it tight so you can't see the drummer. They can always do a track over it, and it just didn't work. And so
Mhm.
I was just like pissed. And I finally just like, dude, like what have you guys done? Like that you're so like famous or that you're all this and that. I was like, I don't even act like this, and I've done way more than you guys. And so I quit. I'm like, F this, right? And so about 3 months go by, a little time in between. I'm up at night. Uh, I wrote a script for a green screen contest and I won that. And then finally I was like, you know what? I got that part. I'm wondering if I can get another one. So
Yeah.
then the next thing that happens, I'm like looking around, and mind you, by this time I'm 40 years old, bro. I don't have time for mistakes and
Mhm.
learning curves that I did in music
Yeah,
and as a
for sure.
young guy.
Yeah.
So immediately I just started researching, man, who's who, what's what, who's getting what done, who has credits, all
Right.
that stuff. Not to judge, but to go in the direction where something's going to get done. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so I land a short film for SDSU. Now, mind you, I don't have any clips or nothing right to go on. So that's my first clip. Of course, I get typecast as a cholo. What's up, this? And I at this point I didn't care. I was like, I want to get my foot in. I need to figure out how this works, right? So
Right.
as I film my first project, I'm learning, I'm watching, and luckily I had people from Stu Siegel Studios filming this, so it was somewhat pro
Right.
level. And so I'm like, okay, cool, that's how it works. This is I'm learning everything I can, and then I go for another one. And back then, there's ways you could get real gigs, on like Mandy.com and stuff, and so I submitted and I get this pilot in LA. And so I'm a cholo again, right? Second gig, I'm a cholo. This time, give me the heat this way. Now it's just kind
Yeah.
of changed a little more deeper. And so I go and I go shoot that pilot. And I'm acting opposite this guy. He's the main character, and we work all day together, and he's super cool. I was like, hey, do you get to do this for a living? And he's like, yeah. And I go, I'm just starting. So he starts giving me tips, and he's
Hmm.
really, really cool, laid back. And then all day he's just talking an American accent. At the end of the day, he goes into his English accent. I'm like, what the? I was like, oh, that's right. He's acting, but this is so weird. He was
Did you
American
ever
all day.
did you ever take classes for that for acting or anything like that? Or you just kind of learned as you were going and doing
I,
different
I
projects.
I have like I said, I do a lot of things internally, so I
Right.
do a lot of thinking and like how to do things. And
Right.
I think, to be honest with you, my research came from being a bartender, bro. How many
Mm.
personalities I met, how many
Right.
scenarios, that
Right.
I can draw from a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like, I mean, I don't take a class till years later,
Yeah.
like, and I still don't take any, to this point, but I do learn. Don't get me wrong. I
Right.
continuously learn, whether it's studying other actors or
Right.
interviews with
Right.
other actors,
Yeah.
there's ways to learn and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you're a sponge in that way. You don't really, yeah, I understand. So, so then so it was just a snowball effect from there for you.
Pretty much, man, because that guy who I told you about, I go home and I look him up, and he's in the seat of Chucky. He's like the chauffeur with Meg Tilly,
Hmm.
who's in the whole movie with her, and he's in Mad Men, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like I just worked with this guy all day, and he was cool. He didn't,
Yeah,
act like anything like
right,
that. And then the
right.
next thing I land is a feature film. And then so my third project, I go up to LA to audition, and I don't get the part, and it's for all these like assassins and bodyguards.
Hmm.
And but they liked me enough to write a opening scene for the movie for me, and they wanted me to do it in
Okay.
Spanish. So my first feature film, I ended up doing a whole opening of a movie in Spanish with
Mm,
Vivica A. Fox in my back seat and Bai Ling in the next car, and it's a Tom Sizemore movie.
nice.
So, and I
Yeah.
learned some valuable lessons. Every time I go, you got to learn, right? It's always
Right.
there.
Right.
And I learned some great lessons there. And I think at that point, is when I learned that I need to keep working. I mean, things are happening, at least going snowball effect, like you said, right?
Right.
So things just kept going up. And I just learned to keep working. And then the movie that I did takes 3 years to come out, right? Surprise, it happens all the time. It
Yeah,
takes a
that's
while,
normal.
right? It's normal. But it gets released by Lionsgate. So I'm like, oh, real
Okay.
movie,
Yeah.
Lionsgate, real stars, and I'm in there. And then it finally comes out and I'm watching it a few times, because you're excited. And
Yeah.
it's like, wait a minute, Vivica doesn't speak in my scene. It's my scene. What? You know what I mean? Because she's just like, oh, looking at me and the other guy arguing.
Yeah.
So, at that point, you ask yourself, okay, well, something happened on set. Two things. Okay, so one thing on set, I'm like the smallest bodyguard, dude. I'm the driver, right?
Okay.
And everybody's like 200 big guys. And here I'm taking pictures with these guys, and I'm like at their shoulders.
They
And
must
I
have
go,
liked you if they gave you that role because your
right?
size, for that
Exactly.
role. Yeah.
Exactly. So what's interesting though, here's where I learned. So one of the biggest guys, I go, man, look at me taking pictures next to you guys. And he goes, hey man, we all can't be the big guy. And I go, oh, like we all belong somewhere is what I kind of, got from
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
You know what? If we are all big, then guess what? Now I stand out because I'm little compared to those guys, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Lesson to be learned. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so, and then you're right. They did like me because I lost contact with them for a couple of years because I had changed emails, I'd moved, and
Hmm.
it was still the internet was still, the way we do
Right.
social media was still developing. And so what happened next was I did other things and I started getting into the commercial stuff and then they found me again and they're like, hey, we've been looking for you, man. I'm like, oh, where you been? He goes, we got a part for you right now if you come down. Shot down to LA. Next thing you know, 6 months later, I'm a Lifetime Movie Network in their movie, called Turbulence. And so I'm a detective and I open up a movie again for them, and it's
Right.
kind of cool. But yeah, it kind of snowballed from, where it's
Nice.
just,
Nice.
working and just work.
So I mean, I'm not sure if some of our viewers does understand what an infomercial is. Do they still have infomercials right now in this day and age? I'm not really sure because I don't really watch too much of anything right now. I'm just too
No,
busy.
that's a very good question. And
So
the
can you
fact
can you
is,
explain a little
I
bit
guess
of
the
what
time,
that was?
yeah.
What that's
So the
about?
infomercial, a lot of times back then, okay, so early 2000s, 2010, probably even. It's crazy that we're like 24 years later up from there, right? I didn't start acting until like 2010. So that's when things are happening, right? So it's
Right,
a giant commercial. It's long. It's got a host and maybe an audience, and they're showing you how to use stuff. They kind of have them now as like little commercials, or little
mm,
half hour how to do this product. But a lot of times, you got your streaming now, right? So your infomercials
right.
are kind of like the TikTok videos, like
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So it's kind
Instead
of
instead
different.
of the whole hour, I remember something like the Ginzu knife or something like that. Was that an infomercial or something like that? The ninja knife
Perfect.
or
Where the guys go
whatever.
chop, 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 chop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And it
Quick,
cuts
the
through
can.
steel and
Mm.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
So
All
that's
right,
that's what it was for a health product, and like I said, he didn't show up. So I ended up in it, but I mean, they didn't put my band in there,
right,
which
right,
because back then they would play, when all the TV shows would sign off, or we didn't have 24/7 choices.
right,
Then those would play like through midnight, all through 6 in the morning, over and over different channels, and so that was my idea that we would be seen everywhere.
right. For those of you that are watching us right now, I'm John Sito. That's Anthony de la Cruz. He's an actor. He's also a musician, and he was on the movie that has not been released by Miracles Production, my company, El BanKo. And Anthony plays one of the lead roles in El BanKo, one of the main villains in the BanKo, and it's in Spanish. But tell us a little bit about, did you learn Spanish as a kid? Were you speaking Spanish at home, or how did you learn Spanish? I know your Spanish, it was a struggle for you in the movie, but I mean you did a good
It
job.
was,
But tell us about
it was
how did the Spanish thing come about in your life?
So, my grandparents were born in Mexico,
Right.
and they only spoke Spanish. My parents born in the United States, but they spoke English as a second language. So when I was raised in English, but my grandparents, my abuelitos, would speak to me in Spanish. So
Okay.
I always understood it coming in, right? They're talking nothing but Spanish,
Right.
but I'm also answering back in English. So my problem was I could answer them, they would understand, and that's how we'd go. So it's not till I go to the Hotel Del, as I mentioned earlier, where I'm working in restaurants where I run into all the Mexicanos, right, from
Mhm.
Mexico that work behind the scenes and all that. And that's when I start to get, I guess
Started
a little
speaking.
bit of a problem. Yeah, started
Mm.
speaking. Let's just say that. And so I remember I had a guy come up to me. He's like, "Hablas español?" And I was like, "Yeah," but he starts looking at me like, "Oh, you're pocho," and he, and he's like all offended because I won't, I don't have an accent and I didn't speak Spanish right away or perfectly. And I'm like, and he's like, "No español, ¿por qué no?" And I say, "Hey, sabes que entiendo todo." I go, "But let's talk about your English, buddy. You want to talk about English right now? Let me see how fast you're. No, te enseñamos, okay? Well, you came at me."
Yeah.
He's like, okay, so then at that point on, he's like, I'm only speaking to you in Spanish. Cool, whatever, because,
Right.
I got to deal with English and English throws me off. But anyway, after, months and months of talking, regularly in Spanish, he tells me that, he goes, you know what? He goes, when you have your first dream in Spanish, you'll be there. And I was like, all right. So you know what happened the day I woke up and I had a dream in Spanish.
How long ago? How long after that did it happen?
Probably 6 months to a year because, it was
Okay.
off and on,
Okay.
that
Okay.
where where it just became second nature because I was just not thinking anymore. Because
Right.
even if I'm not doing it for a while, it goes away because I think English first, flip it
Right.
around, and spit it out, and that's
Right.
where the delay happens. And people, and then your movie, you wanted a cubano. I'm like, oh my god, you're taking me to another level with that accent. I try to do
Yeah.
research, and I was like, wow, that's such a hard. I learned a lot of how many different dialects of Spanish and
Right.
ethnicity
Right. That-
within the
right.
Latino. I
Right.
was like,
Right. Yeah.
so I struggle with that because it wasn't regular Spanish, senor. Thank you.
That you're used to. Right.
And
Right.
so, and then even in banking, I used my Spanish, you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
after, restaurant and all that. So then my Spanish got a little bit tighter, more, more business, Um, and then so that's where I kind of refined it a little bit more, I guess, in professional level. But if I don't use it a lot regularly, then it starts to dip and I have to get back into it. And,
Right.
just
Right.
like warming up a muscle.
Besides my
But
film,
yeah.
have you done any other Spanish work in regards to commercials,
Um,
movies, or
well,
videos or anything?
yeah. So like, as I mentioned, I open up. Okay, the movie's called Assassin's Game with Tom Sizemore.
Okay, you did
I
that
open
one.
up, and
Mm.
the entire movie is. I'm only at the beginning before they shoot me, but it's the big opening of the movie.
Right.
And we have an argument. I'm all in Spanish, talking about this metrosexual. You know what I mean? And this guy's, what are you calling me? So it was like one of those things,
Yeah.
and I just speak entirely Spanish to him. And then in Ni Una Mas, I do a little bit of Spanish because I'm like a detective who's working, when it goes over to Mexico to talk to somebody, but I'm mainly on the US side. Um,
Okay.
and so, if I have the script to work with, I can nail it, no problem. But when sometimes I get these directors, and I won't say any names, John or Roy, when he sees he gives me the script day of. I'm like, bro, see, Spanish, I can read it, but it's not going to come out good. Like I just
Right.
trained on, English is my first language.
Right.
But and I can read it and all that, but it's not going to be on point if you just handed it to me.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I can
Totally
do it.
understand. Totally understand. So, what else have you done besides commercials and movies since that time? I mean, how do you feel as an actor now compared to, 20, 20 the 2010s?
Um, so I kind of got the music scene down, right? And I had to just shift focus over to how does the movie scene work? How does that whole industry. And so right away, once I started figuring out who's who in San Diego, casting directors, who's making movies, I even look for indie guys. I mean, such as yourself, that's honored to
Hmm.
work with you, guys that can do like more than other people, right? Even the young ones that are coming up, right? Because you might find the next Scorsese and you
Yeah.
partnered up with them when he was young, and as they get
Yeah.
older, and that's happened to me, where I met young guys that met them when they're 19, and they had some crazy shit, dude. They was like crazy
Mm,
movie stuff, and I'm like, all right, man, but you're on it. You're going in the right direction.
mm,
Like, we want to work with you, but we're not ready, right? So 5 years later, they're in their mid 20s, and they come back with a script, and it's one of the best characters I've ever had, dude. I
nice.
play an agent in Hollywood who's just twisted and crazy, and if you get a chance, it's a short called Baghead.
Mm.
The guy who plays Baghead, the main actor, wears a bag in the entire movie, never see his face, and he was even up for Best Actor, dude. Seriously, he does such a
Wow, that's
great
crazy.
job.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and, and gave me so much to work on. So, so that's going on. But in the meantime, I've always been pursuing my career, getting San Diego down, and once the phone started ringing this way, it's kind of like, okay, cool. People know who I am. The phone, they're calling me, hey, we got an opportunity. And then I got only so far in San Diego you can go, right? So then I
Right.
shifted to LA. And so in San Diego, I was fortunate. It's a good community we have. I had a friend who was auditioning, excuse me, for a movie in Mexico, yeah, over in Rosarita in Baja Studios, which is no longer, which where we filmed as well,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so I'd been to Baja Studios the year before with you, which is crazy, right? We're there, we did our
Yeah.
filming, and a year later, my buddy's auditioning for a movie there. He doesn't know a lot about it, he just
Hmm.
knows he's worked in down there before, and they pay well, and everything's legit. Don't worry, you don't have to, And I'm like, cool. And he's like, he had an audition for a pilot in a movie, and he needed somebody to help him with the scene as the co-pilot.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm always down to help. So I go help him out. We film it. He even got us little pilot shirts and everything. And we do the scene. And uh, he says, oh, I think they're casting for the co-pilot too. And I was like, oh, cool. All right. And so I was there just to help him. So then guess what? Guess who gets the call? Guess who
You
gets chosen? I got the part as the co-pilot, dude. And then I
did he
still don't
get
know
the
what I'm.
part? Your friend get the
No, he
part?
didn't get the
No, he
part. No,
didn't.
he didn't.
Oh,
I know. I felt bad. I was like, I didn't even know how to tell him. I was like, oh man, do I call him? I don't know.
man.
I still don't know what's going on. I don't know
Yeah.
how this is working. It's Mexico, and is it real? And
Right.
so, um, I get more information, and I look up the director, and it's like the number one director out of China. I look his first movie up. I see a Lamborghini flying across a train.
Mm.
And I'm like, action, karate. I
Yeah.
was like, what is going on? He's the protege of John Woo. And John
Oh,
Woo was like,
okay. Yeah, I know.
you know
I
who
know
that is,
John
right?
Woo. Yeah, he's a
So
protege
he's the
of John
protege
Woo.
of John Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, right. We know who that is. It's like, oh, whoa, okay. What am I getting into? Chills. And then I learned later the number one actor out of China. I'm like, okay, cool. Don't know who he is.
Nice.
Um, and so as I get things going, I have to call him, and I was like, hey, are you going to go down to Mexico? And my friend's like, no, I'm not. Did you hear back from him? I go, oh, yeah, I start working next week. He's like, oh, and he was super
Yeah.
good guy. His name was Dan, man. He's a good guy.
Mm.
He was very happy for me. I go down there, dude, and it's like we have special effects from Spider-Man and Transformers. We got, practical effects from England, productions from China. We're
Yeah.
filming in the same tanks as Titanic with real full-size plane and everything, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, like what in the heck? Where am I? So I go film Mexico for 2 weeks, and we get that movie going. Get done. It's going to be like so we have the cinematographer from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon on this movie too.
Wow,
So it's
that's
like
pretty awesome.
biggest thing they're going to release from China since Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Right.
So they're going for Oscar. They get brought in everybody, and then so we get that film done, and then within the year, working. I love working everywhere because like in Mexico doesn't have the SAG rules and all that mess, right?
Uh-huh.
So I get into the series of Selena on Netflix through Mexico.
Oh, nice.
So they're filming down there. Casting's like, hey, Barbarella Pardo, one of my favorite people, who calls me up and is like, "Hey, we're casting for Selena the series on Netflix. Do you want to audition?" I'm like, "Yeah." So she gave me about five different roles before I landed one. They gave them, one to me, and so I got on that, right. So I'm on that movie, um, Selena, and I think I even worked Top Gun 2 as background because I wanted to see what it was like, right?
Right.
What's Tom Cruise like? I got to see Tom Cruise and all that,
Nice.
and so as I mentioned, how I'm always studying and because I have no time to learn and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a young guy. Well, I make a big movie at $80 million budget. Then I go on to Selena, which is different budget. Then I go
Right.
on to Tom Cruise's background, and I'm like, oh wow, this is like the movie I was in over here where I was important. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I did the
yeah.
background.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah,
so
that's how you got to keep moving, man.
you keep moving, right?
And
And
you
you know what?
learn. Like I did a lot of stuff in Hollywood just to learn. I really didn't care about what I was doing. I was at the in the what is that called? The big casting company in LA. I forgot what the name of it is. It's been such a long time.
Hmm.
Whatever, that company. I was
Central
in there.
casting or yeah.
Central casting. I started out in central casting. So they gave me all these roles. Obviously, it was, background and then eventually I worked my way all the way to being in the scene with the main people, whatever, right? But
Hmm.
I really didn't care about that. My main thing was like, okay, how do these people make movies? That was like my thing. Let me see. How
Exactly.
how do how does this director move? What is this guy doing? So I did a lot of different movies, like a lot of genres, just to see
Mhm.
how, okay, thriller, suspense, action, drama, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Music videos, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, okay, I'm learning. It was like a 2-year school for me.
Right. You know, it's so funny. You see,
School
if I
for
haven't
me.
taken any classes, no, but I've learned a lot of shit on set. That's for
Yeah,
sure, dude.
exactly. I mean, that's where you learn the most because you see the
Mhm.
reality of it. You're actually seeing the
Yeah.
reality of these high level producers and directors and how the crew works and all these. And speaking of Netflix, I did a Netflix. It was filmed. I don't know where it was. It wasn't filmed in Mexico. It was filmed somewhere else in a warehouse. I don't know where, Rancho Cucamonga or something. I don't know, but there was a set
Mm.
there, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, it was a huge set, and I was like, and then I looked at the director, but the director was not even there. Where's the director at? No, he's like 100 miles
Video
away.
Village.
He's 100 miles away looking. And I was like, wow, this is lovely. They waste a lot of money here.
They do. They
A
do. I
lot of
know.
wasted money. But that's how it goes when you have all that money to waste, I guess. I don't know. But I wouldn't know right now at this stage of my life in regards to wasting a lot of money and
Right.
in making movies. But yeah, I learned a lot. It was definitely a very uh interesting and good educational experience. And a lot of those sets I met actors that I used later on for my films.
Mm.
Yeah,
Networking. Exactly. Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, what's interesting is that, like I said, I did a lot of things, right? So, you mentioned I edit, I film, I compose, I do
Right.
sound, I do all that. And one thing I got into was mobile filmmaking, right? I was tired of
Mm.
waiting around and I started making movies with mobile film, mobile phones. And
Right.
and a lot of times people didn't even know that I was using a phone. I did a couple of 48s where I did it all on phone and snuck
Oh
it up
yeah.
in there and they didn't even know. I was like, that was
Yeah.
a phone. I'm like, "Yeah, bro, I want to show you you can do things, right? I know. And it even afforded me to speak on the panel at Comic Con.
Oh,
I had told
nice.
myself years ago that I would never go to Comic Con unless I was there for work because
Right.
I don't like going into that mess, right? And then all of a sudden, by Susie Botello of International Mobile Film Festival asked me to speak on a panel about making movies with
How did
phones.
she know
So
about you though? How did she know about you? How did she be?
so a couple of years prior, I had gotten into mobile filmmaking on my own, right? Right when I
Okay.
was starting acting, I was doing all kinds of, that's the way I am. I do all kinds of
Right.
stuff. Like I don't just do one thing. So I was doing films. I first started off by making a music video. Literally when I started acting, music video of my friend's band. And then I did the full on cartoon coloration and stuff. And it just came out cool during that Comic Con thing, that year. And so then I went on to make a short film with actress Lizette Ben who's a San Diego actress known for her own work, and she's an
Mhm.
artist as well, a painter. So I did one with her, and got that all completed, all one man show because you're a one man
Mhm.
show. I know you, you know all about that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I learned how to do that, and then of course Susie. Another side story is that my 11-year-old daughter at the time, she's now 19 today, to be honest.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
she made her first film with the phone too, and it was like a father daughter thing, and we got interviewed on TV, and
Oh,
you know,
cool.
and so it kind of went from there. She made
Oh,
another
okay.
film, I made another film, and then that's how we got onto the panel because we did have a background of doing it. So and that was fun, you know, because like you said, met other people and met
Right,
other
right,
things, and people, you know, so
right.
that, you know, so all this is going on at the same time. I'm doing the acting thing, you know, bringing music back in, making songs for people for their movies because I'm meeting people who need music, you know. And then, as I mentioned, you know, I did the big movie, the Selena thing, and the big movie is set to come out. We're talking 5 continents, AMC theaters. I was actually on the AMC theater website as one of the few Americans right
Yeah.
there, you know, and
Yeah, I
and it was
remember
going
you
to
posting about the airplane crash and all that stuff, right?
dude. And so
Yeah.
day before release, bro, day before, it never happened. I don't know ever when it happened. China goes and shuts down for COVID, and they said we need to pull the movie. We can't premiere it all over the world and not our own country.
Right.
And so they shut it down. I'm like,
Wow.
what? And then 1 month later, we're shut down for COVID. So, right. So
Right.
everything just went that
Right.
way. And so then they opened up before us. So they had a big old premiere out there. The buildings are lit up, the whole city. I mean, it's a big thing for them,
This
right?
was after COVID that they
After
had
COVID,
premiere,
yeah. Because
but
they
they
woke up
didn't
and
invite you over to be in the premiere, or you just
I'm not, I wasn't, I was a co-star, not a lead. So they
um
weren't, you know,
they weren't
it
going to
was one of
pay you to
those
go
things.
over there, basically.
They weren't going
Yeah.
to pay me to go there. So exactly. Plus,
Okay.
I don't know Chinese, man. That would have been, you know, thank you, you know, kind of like my premiere for New Mas when I did that one in Mexico. I'll tell you about that. But
Uh,
anyway, um, so, you know, that all went down. They pulled it, and I was just like, what does this mean? And then, you know, I'd already shot Selena, so I don't know what's happening with that, you know. And so at the end of the year, as I mentioned, they opened up. They had a big old thing. Then, um, I mean, this movie only had so many Americans because we're the ones in that plane. We're an
right,
international plane.
right.
So everything else is China based, right? So we're not like I mean, it's a big scene, 30 minutes, it's huge action,
Hmm.
but it's not like we're like, you know, oh, we're gonna fly them out
Right.
to the premiere. So as we start wrapping up that year, they release it on Amazon Prime, and it goes up against Wonder Woman 1984 and beats it out, right? As number one movie. And
Wow.
then Selena releases 2 weeks later as a number one show on Netflix. And here I am in the number one movie, the number one show on Netflix in 2 weeks,
Wow.
and I'm on lockdown, bro.
Oh, wow.
We were on
Wow.
lockdown.
What was this in June of 2020 or what?
No,
Or
no, it
later
was
on?
like December going into June 2021,
Oh,
December, right
okay.
there.
December. Okay. Yeah, they were still in lockdown. Yeah. Wow.
Mhm. And I was just like, what does this mean, God? Like, here you go. Ah, just kidding, you know.
Yeah.
And so I at that point, I feel like I guess I've done enough to say, I belong doing this. This is where I am supposed
Right.
to be, you know.
Right.
And whatever God has in store, and since then, I had hit kind of a ceiling of what I could do on my own. Because mind you, all the
Hmm.
way up to this point, I have no agent. All this that I've done, I should not have been able to do. So I
Right.
thank God. I'm fortunate that I could do all that. But Selena showed us that, okay, Hollywood is now aware of me because they said, hey, where does he live? In San Diego?
Mm,
How are you booking him through Mexico? And it's like, oh, well, we need to handle it from this point. So now I was like, okay, I'm stuck now. I have to get an agent to
mm.
continue working at this level.
Right. Right.
So about a year ago, I guess almost going on 2 years now. Yeah, because we just wrapped up a year. Uh, so we're wrapping up the second year, but 2 years ago, finally got an agent. And to my friend again who got me on that big movie.
Oh man.
He was
You're
one of
one
the
of
big league.
those. You're one of those. You're one of those guys. I have a little. You just reminded me of something. A little story. So I have like a good friend of mine from eighth grade, seventh grade. We still connect. We're still in touch. He's from Boston. And we've been friends forever, right? But after we finished high school, we wanted to take summer school. So I said, "Hey, let's take some summer classes so we could get ahead or for college, whatever." And he's like, all right, cool. And I said, and he's like, what do you want to take? I'm like, well, there's this class called real estate, and there's history, and there's thing. Let's take history and real estate. And he said, okay, cool. So it ended up, long story short, I didn't take real estate. I don't know why, but he took real estate. And uh, I took history and whatever, right? Turns out that he's got crazy houses right now. He's a multi crazy millionaire. And I never took real estate. And it was because of me, because he ended up taking the class. I didn't take the class, and he went on to become a really,
Yeah.
really well off real estate guy. Yeah, businessman, and he's got properties galore, man. And I always, I talked to him last week. I even, we talk all the time, but I every time we talk, I say, hey, where's my house? You owe me at least one house.
Who got you there, buddy?
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
I understand that situation. That's why I say, oh, you're that guy, huh?
no, no, not usually, but I mean, I've been blessed with
No,
opportunities.
I
Let's
know,
just
I
say
know,
that.
I know. I'm just joking with
Well,
you.
what's funny though is that, as I look back, people talk about manifesting and whatever. I mean, I think there is truth to it because every time I've wanted or went in a direction that I've never been
Mhm.
in, it happens because I say I'm
Oh,
just
that's
going to do
totally,
it.
yeah, yeah. I totally
You
agree
know,
with that. That's definitely happens. I mean, if you think about it, if we're going with no budget to do a movie, this movie right here, Superhéroes Orígenes, it was all manifested, man. I didn't know where I was gonna get any food for the actors. I didn't know where I was gonna get the money. I didn't know where I was gonna shoot. I didn't know the conditions of where I was landing.
mm,
I just manifested, and I was just like in some kind of mind zone thing where you just like there's nothing that distracts you
go
from
with it.
doing it, you know?
Yeah, just roll with it, right?
Yeah, you just roll
I,
with it. Yeah,
you know, I think about this. There was an interview with Michael Jackson. It was called "Living with Michael Jackson" by Martin Bashir.
yeah,
Bashir,
yeah,
some
yeah,
seen one thing, and it always stuck with me because being a musician and not knowing where my gifts have come from because it's not really in my family. Like I don't have anyone to
yeah,
refer to. And he had asked him. He goes, because he would go to some tree and when he was wanted to write, he'd go up in this tree and he would write or think of
yeah.
things to do.
I seen
And
that
he goes,
video. Yeah,
you see that? And he goes, where do you get it from? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I'm the vessel. I get out of the way. I let it
right.
come and do the thing. He goes,
Yeah,
anytime I try to control it, it falls apart, and
right,
it's true. It's almost like, if you go with the flow, it happens. If you
right.
just try to control it, it just crumbles or something.
Right, right.
Maybe that's what I do with my
A
music.
lot of people don't have that mentality, and I totally understand what you're saying because I am that way, and I think that way, and I've experienced it as well as you. But some people, will call us crazy or whatever, right? Because that's
Yeah.
we're artists. That's, this is what we,
There's no boundaries. You know what I
there's
mean?
no,
This
yeah.
should be, what I
We
mean?
have the
We
imagination. We have that's God gave us that gift. So, I,
I've come across that there's people like us who make something out of non-existent things or
right,
take things and make them bigger or better,
right.
and then there's people who can copy, oh,
Right.
let me see how you do that. But they're not the
Exactly.
ones who can write it, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
And so I'm on that side. Yeah, I think you're on that side, and
for sure.
so with my friend who, at the time I was ready to get an agent, he comes calling me on me again, nothing to do with me, with him knowing I need an agent, and he says, "Hey, I got another thing if you can help me with." And I go, "Oh man, I hope I don't get it." And just like last time, and he's like, "Oh, it's good, bro." And so he goes, "Okay, my agent wants you to send her a message through Actors Access because she has to send the script that way." And I'm like, I don't even do any of that, to be honest with you, because
Right.
I mean, I don't know how. I just work, and I haven't had to do what everyone goes and looks every day. And so I go, okay, I think I have an account, and then I find it, and I'm like, oh, I haven't used it in I don't know how many years when I first opened it.
Yeah.
So then I send a message. So she sends the script, sees my stuff, wants to sign me.
Wow. Nice.
You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
like, oh, well, it's time anyway. I don't need to go
Right.
look for one now. I'm here.
Right.
And so, so that kind of happened. And then a year later, because I'd done business for so long on my own, and I am a business type guy, I used to work for financial institutions and
Right.
run properties and budgets. I'm looking at stuff that doesn't add up right for me, going like, wait, what's going on? And so she couldn't give me good enough answers. Let's just say that.
Your agent.
My agent, yeah.
Okay.
So the first gig didn't go well. I mean, I got a Netflix. Here's another thing. So I'm with them a few months, and I'm getting these finally seeing these awesome auditions.
Right.
Network television for feature films, and so I'm like, what's going on? I talked to the assistant. I'm like, what do I got to do? And she goes, well, you got to get SAG eligible. I'm like, I got to get a part first, And she goes, well, the problem is, she goes, your auditions are great, but if you're up against a SAG person, they're going to get it to them automatically because of SAG rules.
Right.
So you got to get eligible so you can contend, right? And so that was like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And I'm like, okay, I think I have a credit somewhere where I was leading. They didn't do the paperwork right. I might be eligible if I can find it. So I called them up on Monday. So it's like Wednesday before Thanksgiving, looking for this stuff. Call them on Monday. They say, if you find the paperwork, we can set you up and you'll be eligible. All right, cool. So then I find the paperwork. And then as I find the paperwork on Tuesday, so mind you, about a week later, Thursday, right? Or Wednesday, now Tuesday, I had already auditioned twice for this show on Netflix. I'm not even thinking about it.
Hmm.
Getting ready to call SAG and say, here's my paperwork. And they go, also my agent's like, hey, you just got a direct hire for a Netflix gig that you've already auditioned twice. So this is a third time. And they're just offering it to me if I can be there tomorrow. So I'm there. So guess what? SAG eligible within a week when I wanted
Yeah.
it.
Right. Right.
And so, yeah. So
Awesome.
then
Awesome.
at that point, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'll say fortunately, I learn more and more about my agent, what she's doing, and just like, and a lot of it's, I guess, standard practice. It's just one of those things in this industry, which I learned from music, is that you got to be on top of your stuff. If there's anything, I would share with other people,
Right.
is that, you know, put as much time and effort into learning the business side of the industry as you do into acting
Right.
or filmmaking, because it's hand in hand. If you don't know the business side, you're not going to make money, or you're going to be people get into your money,
You get ripped off.
get ripped off. So,
Right.
it worked as it should. So that show that I booked should be, they did a sneak peek on last week, and it starts on October 17th on CBS. It's called
Nice.
Matlock, and it's with Kathy Bates, the Oscar winner.
Is it a
And
reboot?
no, that's it. If you get a chance, look it
Because
up
I
on,
heard of some show,
yeah, well,
Matlock, but it's
yeah,
not. It has nothing to do with it, or
yes and no. I mean, it's cool because they address it, but no, right?
oh, okay.
So they do it in such a clever way, dude. I mean, they had a sneak peek last week, and if you get a chance to, it's on CBS or Paramount Plus.
I'll check it out.
Um, check it out. It's really good because they do a twist at the end, and I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
Hmm.
But let's just say that in the even the if you look up the promos, she's like, Matt, like, yeah, like the TV show, but not that. You know what I mean? And they even show the thing where she wins the case and walks out, and the young attorneys are playing. They got Andy Griffith on the phone, and they're playing the theme song, and they're like down the
Oh,
street, and
nice.
she pop it. You know what I mean? Like, and then
Yeah.
they even tell you how she came up with the name, because there's such a great twist at the end that I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
You have to watch it, and it'll pull you in. I mean, me, I'm like, whoa, this is a
So
good show. Like,
is it a serious? Is like episodic or what?
episodic, yeah. There's
Oh,
like, I
okay.
think at least 10 shows. The season starts, as I mentioned, I think on the 19th. October 19th is Thursday.
Okay, Matlock. I'll be
And
looking out for it. Everybody should be looking out for Anthony's new CBS, right? CBS
yep,
show.
on
Okay.
CBS. I got
All
a I
right.
got a part on that, on that show. So
Mm.
you'll see me hopefully in the first few episodes, if maybe the first one, we'll see.
Okay, awesome.
And so yeah, so that's going on, and then I do other things, like, I know I don't look like a model, but they have other models these days that look like a mechanic. And
Yeah, that's
I
true.
did
That's
say,
true.
but one thing that's pretty visible right now is I have a Stater Brothers commercial that's playing
Okay.
everywhere, and
Okay.
I work with, and that one's been gotten a lot of visibility. And I just did another casino commercial for Valley View,
Yeah.
so
You're
um,
a, you're like the casino guy from ever, if I could remember. I think we did a casino thing together a while back, a
yeah,
long time
yeah.
ago. I
It's
think we
so
were
funny because
casted by Sam or no, the other lady. What's her name?
by
What's her name? I forget her
Cami
name. Who?
from Cami.
Cam,
Remember
yeah,
Cammy?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we were
My
casted.
consultant, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cam.
Cammy is still around for me. She's my consultant. She's somebody I go
Beautiful.
to when
I mean, you started with her,
I,
right? Didn't you like
I,
kind of
I
were kind of a baby
mm-hmm.
in the film and the all that stuff with her, right?
Yeah, well, what was interesting with her is that, I had already done so much on my own because I do my own, right? I cut
Right,
my own clips, my own reels, all that. So when I got with her, it was kind of cool having somebody who was on, like, who knew how it worked on the inside. Remember I was
right.
telling you,
Yeah,
I had to learn so much. So she's
right.
almost like, she's my consultant. She's like, hey,
Yeah.
when I had something coming up, who's this? Ah, don't worry about it. Let me look it up. Comes back to me. No, you're good. Don't worry about that. Okay, cool.
Mm,
She's a
right.
good consultant. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
to her. Yeah, you're right.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you bet. Yeah, I think I was in a commercial with you from the casino from Cammy. I think Cammy was obviously I was a background at whatever at that time for that commercial, but I remember. I don't know if you were in that commercial or
So
not.
what's interesting is when I did this one, I realized that I've done it for Saboba, Sequan, Viejas, and
Yeah,
Valley View, dude.
you're
And
yeah.
the station in Vegas. So that's five
Yeah.
casinos, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
uh
You got a
and it's
casino
funny,
face, bro. You got
I
a
get yeah,
gambling.
right.
You're a gambler.
This time I was a bartender, but I also had the background. So
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
I'll tell you a funny story because my father, they're Latinos. I don't know how
Yeah,
maybe yours more supportive than mine, but my family was very college and school oriented,
right.
and me doing this was like, whoa, we don't get that
Way
guy,
down the
right?
way out in
And
the left
so
field, right?
exactly, left side of that brain and or the right side in this case. But anyway, so my father when I finally I think he started sinking in that I'm doing this, right? Because he didn't understand when I left Chase, or excuse me, the financial institution. No promos
Good,
for
you
them.
left them.
Um,
I left them
yeah,
too. Actually, they
bleep
kicked
it
me
out.
out.
I'm gonna bleep it out, bro. And so when I left that, he's like, because he doesn't understand. And then when I left property management, so I could become more of a full time actor. He didn't get all that. So
Right.
years later, because even my movie took years to come out, right? So he's still like,
Yeah.
being judgmental. And so years later for Viejas, he's at that age where they spend all their time in casinos. He goes in
Yeah.
there and all of a sudden I get a phone call from my dad, which I don't talk to very often.
Mm.
It's like, hey, I'm like, what's up? And he's like, I'm at Viejas. I'm like, and he's like, you're everywhere. And I was like, oh, he's seeing my work. All right.
Nice.
Like, you're in the machines, you're in the videos. He's like, that's all. That's all I want to say. Okay, cool. Hung up and I was
Proud moment for dad. Proud
like, right,
moment. Yeah.
that's either way. So
Probably was
and then
smiling when he saw that, huh?
yeah, so he now he's accepted like, okay, you're doing whatever you're doing. I don't get it, but you're
Yeah.
doing it.
That's
So
cool. That's cool. Good story. Good
kind of
story.
cool.
So, what has been the hardest thing as an actor to do? What has been one of your hardest thing to do?
Well, the hardest thing is I've had to learn, believe it or not, is that, balance out a family and work life until you can make it a full-time job. You know,
Right.
that's the hardest thing because you still have to raise a family. I've got three daughters. I'm a girl's dad,
Hmm.
you know, and it took me several years to figure out that my wife, without her, holding it down, I have to take off at a moment's notice, go film in
Right.
Mexico for 2 weeks.
Right.
You got to hold it down. So I learned to try to balance that out a lot better. And of course,
Yeah.
there's that financial aspect of staying on top of your money because,
Yeah.
I didn't want to work in LA for a few reasons, that being one of them. And I ran into it, but now I kind of know what LA's like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I can tackle it. As far as the craft is concerned, you know, I've only taken two classes. I won't say that. Okay. I've taken two official classes like everyone else would take. And Tom Logan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
through Cameron.
Yeah.
He gave the best advice in such short, like, crib note style, where it was like, okay, he gives you like examples on set immediately, he goes,
Yeah.
how do you say friend here? He goes, if you see a guy walking out, across the street that how do you greet him? Sup, or do you
Hmm.
go, hi? And I'm like, oh, so it's like, be normal when you're
Right.
acting,
Right. Right.
The whole point is don't act, just be,
Yeah.
and so, that I do recommend, but I got a lot of education elsewhere. I can always never remember the name, but it's called Patient. Um, what's it called? It's I had it. I even asked somebody this week at the casino. I go, how do you say that? It's where you go in, like it would be for UCSD School of Medicine, where you would be pretend to be a patient for the doctors that are about to be doctors, that are going
Right.
to
An
graduate.
intern.
No, you're actually like a
Oh,
mock-up patient for them to do their
oh,
checkup.
okay. You're like a guinea pig type of
Mhm.
thing.
Not really. You're an actor, okay?
I know.
Yeah. So what happens is you have to learn a person, everything
Right.
inside and out, right?
Okay.
And like 100% of them, their history, their medications,
Right.
their ailments, their past, whatever. And then so when you go into these mock doctor visits, they have like 15 minutes with you, and they're not going to ask you everything you know. So it gave me
Right.
active listening skills, right? And acting, where you're actually listening and then responding versus waiting to say your line. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And so that was a good learning place. Watching other actors who give you tips online,
Hmm.
that's awesome. So for the most part, what I would say is just doesn't matter where you educate yourself, whatever works for you, get better,
Right.
practice, work with friends, but definitely get that up and your business side, because if you want to make it a business, because it is a business,
Right.
you're the product. You want to be successful, you got to somehow learn how to market yourself. I'm having to learn all this at my
You're,
age, bro, and I know you're not far from me.
you're the brand. You're
All
the
this,
brand. Yeah.
you're the brand, but
Right.
look at our new media. We have to do that.
Right.
We have to do
Right.
this,
Right.
podcasts and doing your reels on Instagram,
Right.
and I don't like TikTok, so but it's all part of it now. So you have to learn all that stuff too.
Right. You got
So
to step up. You got to stay up or stay down. Either you step
there you
up,
go.
yeah, or stay down. So, what has been the most exhilarating thing that you said, "Wow, I made it in the act as an actor"? Like, where you feel proud of yourself, happy for yourself. You're saying, "Wow,
Well, one
okay,
of my first milestone, which was so like personal, was 25 years later to the year. Remember, I started bartending at the Hotel Del Coronado.
hmm
25 years later, I came out in a movie called Daydream Hotel at the Hotel Del Coronado.
wow, it's awesome."
And they hadn't filmed anything there, a movie style, for like 40 something years.
Right,
And so somehow I made it on there, a small part, but hey. And so to go there and screen the movie at this place I used to work at in my 20s, and
right.
then ran into two old bartenders that are now gray.
Wow, that's pretty. Wow.
Yeah,
Did they
they
remember
had
you?
black hair when I worked there. But don't get me wrong, they make good money, bro. If I could, I would.
Did they
They make
remember you?
good.
Did they remember you
Yeah,
when you? Yeah.
yeah. Well, when I go, hey, what's up? I don't think you remember me, right? They're like, oh yeah, I think so. And they're like, what are you doing here? I go, I'm here for this movie. I'm in it. And I go, they're like, they look at each other like, oh, I go, nah, bro, come on, dude. Their jobs are super cool. I go, don't
Yeah,
even like,
yeah,
that I'm a bum or whatever. I don't think that way.
yeah.
And
That's
so,
cool.
yeah, so that was like a good milestone. But a lot of times I'm just doing. I'm not really like
Reflecting.
not a lot, but I do
Not
take
yet.
time.
Hmm.
Not yet. I mean, I do take time. Don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
because I have to look back to see what I've done so far. Right?
Right,
So, coming on an $80 million blockbuster action film that's like literally, if you can please
right.
watch it, it's called The Rescue. It's on Amazon Prime. It's
Hmm.
about the Chinese Coast Guard. There's like five big action scenes. I mean, it's rival to like Triple X and all that.
Right.
And it's like the number one people out of China. It doesn't mean a lot to us, but it's big
Yeah.
international.
Well,
Um,
they got the biggest population, so you know how many people watch that movie already over there.
Exactly. So that's one thing I learned too, is that, even though Hollywood has everything locked up, right?
Yeah,
Oh, they all work together. The rest of the world works together, bro. Like I
of
said,
course. Yeah.
special effects makeup from UK, Chinese
Right.
production, Mexico studio,
Right.
Hollywood, digital effects. They all came together to make that movie, and it's a big budget movie,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
gotta
legit.
watch it. The Rescue. Everybody
It's
out there
good. It's
listening
good.
and watching this show, check out
Please
Anthony
do.
De La Cruz and The Rescue. That's another movie on Amazon Prime. He's got all kinds of movies, commercials, everything. You see him. If you're eating soup, you'll probably see him in the soup. You know what I'm saying? That's how he's all over the place.
And then
So,
hopefully some AutoZone packaging very nice soon.
so,
So
so have you? what have you not done that you want to do as an artist, as an actor, that you have not done yet that you want to do?
So I just want to do this full time, bro. I'm not doing it full time yet. You
Okay.
know, I have to maintain my family, raise my family, so I do
Right.
have, main income.
Okay.
And I'm very fortunate to do what I've done. You know what I mean? I've been there like close where I actually stopped working for a little while,
Mhm.
but then things happen, life,
Right. Right.
surgeries,
Yeah.
COVID, like whoa, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
And then,
so, to
yeah,
just,
and you're an actor. I mean, you have seasons, dry seasons, and that's why you got to handle the money good, or else you're gonna have to go back to work as an actor. Whoever's, listening and watching this, even the
exactly.
big time actors. I have a good friend of mine, brother, like brother from another mother, and for a while he had some dry spells back back in some years back, and
And
that's what
so
happens. You gotta, you know,
my I read goal, well, like I said, I didn't really have certain goals. Hollywood wasn't exactly my focus other than just learning it. And then after learning it, then my shift to, because Hollywood's falling apart, I was
right,
moving out.
right.
But, my goal, like I said, was to get SAG eligible. I got eligible. The next goal was what I call getting into the gated community, right? The studios, you can't get
Hmm.
in there. We filmed on the beach, in the mountains, in the high rise, all that stuff, but not
Right.
in the gated community. So I finally got in there. And so now
Nice.
I want to get on the show as a regular, something where
Yeah.
I can do it, for a
Yeah.
season. And I've made, friends with the people I got to work with that day, makeup, hair, actors, following
Right.
them and to watch them go through the entire process, bro. Like, because I'm on one of the first episodes, so I was there early on, but they're still there and watching them
Right.
complete the whole thing. And they're about to go to air. And so to me, to be a part of that next would be awesome because that's Hollywood money right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
could probably do it full time. But I just continue to work. I mean, I continue to do my independent films.
Hmm.
We have another film called Night Children that we're now doing editing on, and which I'll be doing the soundtrack for.
Okay.
So I don't, I think I want to be kind of like your big guys now, like your Adam Sandlers, your Scorsese, and all that, where I'm doing independent films, but I'm also
Hmm.
actor in films, and
Right.
and just wherever I can do it full time, I
That's
can,
good.
I'm gonna do it. So
How do
that's
you tell the people that want to, that are like learning from this, from all the knowledge that you're spitting out, how do you manage the time? How do you have the time to be a father, be a husband, be independent filmmaker or actor as an independent, and also do your, hardcore big budget stuff? How do you manage all that, commercials, all that?
um kind of like you, where I kind of have to just go with it, as it comes.
Hmm.
I'm lucky there's not, as I thinking that I'm not going to have something, the phone rings or something comes up.
Right,
As far as managing it, there's a couple things that you need. One is, you got to be motivated and driven.
right,
You got to want it. The effort and extra effort, you put into trying to get into this industry, where whatever way you can get in. I wear many feathers in my hat, so I'm very
right.
fortunate that I'm active. Where I have other actor friends that that's all they do is act, and they have to wait for the next gig and then the next gig,
Yeah,
and I'm like all
right.
over. So, and I don't sleep a lot,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah,
5 hours, 6 hours if I'm lucky, and then sometimes it catches up to me, and I get a whole 8 or 10 or something. But,
right.
um, but as far as how to manage it all, you just got to figure it out because I mean, I wasn't the best, family
Hmm.
wise until I realized that, oh my God, I'm leaving a lot for my wife to handle when I have to take off. Right. So now I'm a
Yeah,
little more aware of it and trying to do it better.
right.
So, it's just really, if people want it, you're going to find a way. You have, that thing, if there's a will,
Hmm.
there's a way, you
Awesome.
got to want to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the movie that has not come out, my movie. Just a little bit. Uh, Anthony de la Cruz is live with, not live, but in this video with me right now in 30X ED, Educational 30X. I'm John Sito, that's Anthony de la Cruz. You were in a movie, I think it was 2017. We were talking about it earlier, 2018, around there. I don't remember the exact year, but it was one of those years where I filmed El Banco, a Spanish action drama that had a lot of different actors from United States. Not too many from Mexico. Compared to this movie, Superhéroes Orígenes, most are from Mexico and other countries, including France and
Uh,
uh, Argentina, things like that. But El Banco was mainly a lot of actors from the Southern California, Los Angeles, Palm Springs, things like that.
mm.
Tell me, do you even remember how you got the role or how I connected with you? Because I don't remember at this point,
Um,
at this time right now.
yeah, I think it was through Cecilia.
Okay,
Yeah, she was, obviously San Diego's a small community, so
right.
people, run into each other. And I think I was talking on a casino commercial. Anyway, and she was telling me
I
their
actually
project.
met her. I actually met her going to a commercial, a casino commercial. That's where I met. We met in line. Cecilia and I met in a line in the line,
Okay,
and then we
okay,
did the whole commercial thing, and then she introduced me to a lot of the. It probably was you were one of them or
yeah,
something like
I
that.
think so. So exactly. So I think that's how it came about because that's how I learned about you and what you had going. And as I mentioned, I've always been, I still do to this day, look for independent artists, directors, writers, whatever,
Right,
who I think have the ability to get it done and get it out. You know what I mean?
right,
Um, because like I said, I for those who are still learning, I don't have a lot of time for that, and not in a bad way, but like I need to work
right,
on things that are, get
right,
me where I
right.
need to go. And so, and in your case, I learned more about it. I'm like, okay, interesting, a character that I haven't done, and you've developed it more, and gave me the, I guess, the opportunity to kind of stretch my chops out a little bit. You know what I mean? Trying to
Right.
be a cubano, which I
Right. And
probably didn't do
In
very well.
Spanish, which
Yeah.
and the script is not short. You don't have short
No,
two words. It wasn't
no,
like that at
that
all.
was
Yeah.
that was, that's another thing. I was like, oh, he's not an actor. Look at these words he gave me. I was like, but yeah, there was a lot going on. But the premise was pretty cool. The location. I mean, when we filmed over at that haunted
Oh, that look.
mansion
Yeah,
boys
yeah.
school, and
Nobody forgets about that. They still remember that.
oh, dude, there was as with your other movies, we had challenges too, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was scary, it was trippy at the same time. But
Yeah.
I got to meet people as well,
Yeah.
that I got to work with later, like Elizabeth, who now I work with on casino shoots, or I see her here and there.
Okay.
So yeah, things like that.
Nice, nice. So do you? We'll probably discuss this more next year when the movie comes out. I think you did a really good job. I know it was difficult, especially the Spanish and then the accent, and then you had to have a cigar in your mouth a lot of times.
Cigar, and then I had to go down a hallway of a haunted
Yeah,
mansion with cigar,
yeah.
up and down
So
stairs.
yeah, yeah, we'll get into that. Next year, God willing,
Next season.
when before it comes out, and we'll talk about that. But I think you did a really good job, an excellent job. I really appreciate that for working with me and seeing the vision that I had at that time.
Sure.
Uh, I seen your work, not exactly your work, but all the things that you have done throughout these years. I've always kept an eye on you because I think you're a pretty cool guy and very talented, and obviously like with every other actor I want you to succeed and make us proud. Yeah, I
Yeah, no, I mean,
appreciate
thank
that.
you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's and like I said, I've worked with those who I think, have that ability, or, the talent to do things. And obviously you're one of them. Here we are now on a
Thank you. Yeah,
podcast because you do many things.
yeah, I
So
do. I'm
like
like you
me.
in that kind of way.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, great.
but yeah, no, I support, those at least that I think can do something.
Nice,
So
nice. So let me ask you this. A lot of people don't know a lot of things about you. They know that you're an actor, you do this, you do that. But I want to play a little game before we finish. We're almost ready to wrap it up, but in this segment of the podcast, uh I usually play some learning games just to learn more about the person that we're speaking about. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you
yeah.
some questions. These are called favorites. Okay, I'm gonna ask you what your favorites are. Ready?
Okay.
Music, favorite music.
I'm gonna say hip hop and rock and metal. So it's not. I'm
Okay.
classically trained, and country's barely grown on me, bro. Because it's more
All right.
modern.
All right. All right. All right. Your favorite food?
Ooh, well, always Mexican food, of course. I'm very simple in my burritos, my bean burritos, and tacos and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I've expanded since then. But I'll say that's my core base right
Okay.
there.
All right. All right. Your favorite animal?
Huh. I have cats. I have a dog. Um, and they're all my favorite in their animals, sort of.
Okay. Okay.
Almost. Well, I don't have a favorite one.
Okay. Cool. Your favorite beach that you would want to go to and just chill?
I'd love to go to Costa Rica. I'd love to go to Greece.
Have
I've
you
been to
been there?
Maui.
Have you
No,
been to the? Okay.
I've only been to Maui, which I love and need to get
Okay.
back to. And I almost would like to retire to Maui or somewhere similar, somewhere where it's not all this
Right.
what's going on today.
Right. Totally
Um,
understand. Yeah. Your favorite car?
mm, I'm liking now. I can't. No, it's my favorite, but it doesn't mean I have one. I'm liking the. I just saw a white Rolls Royce SUV that looks wow.
Okay.
I like the Land Rovers as well, but I buy American, Dodge.
Hmm. Okay.
And,
Right.
but no, I've had some cool cars in my day. When I was in my 20s, my favorite cars
Mm,
having them. I had my own Acura Integra. It's like, yeah, a
mm.
Dodge Durango I love. But if you want a favorite, like fantasy, you know, I saw a sweet ass Rolls Royce
Rolls
SUV.
Royce. Okay. Okay. Maybe when you get that full-time CBS gig soon.
Right, there you go.
Your favorite
Well,
movies of all time. Your favorite movie of all time.
wow, that's changed a few times. It used to be Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Okay.
And then wow, that's a good point. I don't think I have a favorite. I feel like I'm always like,
Hmm.
liking the new. I don't go backwards, and I really don't really go back and watch movies again. But Bill and Ted's I did for some reason several times.
Mm. Okay. You connected to that one.
Just something about, yeah, I don't know how or why I connected to it, but I think it was just the simplicity and
Right.
the positivity of the message.
Okay. Your favorite singer or band of all time.
There we go again. For so many years as a composer, I started composing at a young age. People are like, "Oh, who do you?" I always wrote my own music. I never paid covers and I did all that, so I've always written my own. But as far as musicianship, I got to put Prince right up there, Michael
Right.
Jackson, Eminem with his wordsmithing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, Tupac, my daughter, he and Tupac, she
Right.
and Tupac share the same middle name. So I'm West Coast rap.
Okay. West Coast. Okay. Okay. East Coast, West Coast, but West Coast. Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to come through, bro, because I knew you got your hip hop reggaeton going on.
No, no,
But
no.
yeah,
Hip hop, bro. I'm an
hip
East
hop,
Coast.
hip hop.
I'm the East Coast. I'm from East
Oh,
Coast.
gotcha,
But
gotcha.
I live in West Coast, so it's got to be what
I
it's
know.
got to be.
Home of the Diddy. Oh. I'm just
No Diddy, no Diddy.
no.
Your favorite actor of all times?
Well, man, I don't, who I'm enjoying right now, and it's not, I can't say they're favorites because, I like everybody for different reasons. I don't really have the one on anything. It's just I like
Mhm.
everything.
Okay.
And there goes my wife going by. Um, uh, right now, I really like Ryan Reynolds because of how comedic and I love his timing. I love the Deadpool movies, and
Mhm.
the sarcasm he does, and even pushing the edge on it. But as far as like, you know, I guess dramatic actors, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't act anymore.
Mhm.
Like Denzel, like your popular, like old school actors. But new ones, I like, oh, you got to put Johnny Depp in there, man. That guy
Okay.
changes all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, put him
Yeah.
up there, way up.
Yeah. Good choice. Good choice. Okay. Your favorite actress of all time?
Actress. Mm, I have to go back to old actresses that that did stuff. Meryl Streep types.
Right.
The ones that have really gotten multiple awards because they're acting, they change in every character, or
Right.
they're that level. Though that's who I
Right.
admire.
Okay.
But I can't say I have a favorite. No,
All right.
on anything.
What's your favorite game?
It used to be John Madden football on PS
Okay.
on PlayStation.
Okay.
Um, and so, but I do enjoy a game of darts. I didn't have any boys to pass down my athletic abilities or skills to.
Hmm.
So every once in a while, I got to work with my nephew, who's like 6'2", 6'3", which doesn't make sense, but he's big. And it was kind of fun to help him, get over certain humps that he couldn't get through with his dad, because sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
to hear from your dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. Like, I love football. I don't like baseball anymore to watch, but that's
Mm.
another story.
Okay.
But I like that. Yeah.
You heard that
So
today. Speaking of baseball, Pete Rose died. Did you hear about that?
I just caught that. Yeah, I just caught that. And
That's sad, huh?
um,
I didn't know that he was on that, that close to death or that
no,
he
me
was
either. They're
ill.
talking. They were talking about him right now only because they're like, oh, we should let him back in. And so I'm wondering myself, were they talking about him because he was
Yeah.
not doing well? You know what
Right.
I mean? Like we should let him
Yeah.
out finally. Oh, Shohei, man, that guy's badass, dude. The LA
Okay.
Dodgers pitcher,
Yeah.
all freaking the 50-50 guy who
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
60. That guy, have you watched his documentary?
I have
It's
not.
on, I think it's on Netflix, I think. Humble Beginnings.
I gotta watch it. Yeah.
Watch it. I mean, I have to say, if I'm going to put somebody up there, like I just like who he is, besides being able to play baseball.
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. I met Pete Rose once. Speaking of Pete Rose, yeah, in LA,
Wow.
they were doing some kind of like where they have speakers or whatever speak to the crowd, and he was there. He was one of the speakers. Magic Johnson was speaking. It was one of those Magic Johnson things, and I went
That's
to it.
funny you said that. I forgot that I did too.
Did
Whoa,
you?
that's so great. In San Diego.
Oh,
So
okay.
remember when I used to be in property management, right? So we
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
run all the high rises downtown. And I'm at this one high rise that literally it's in center field. It goes all the way to the top, and then they have like a deck and like party. And he was there speaking. Thank you for reminding me. Because when you
Yeah,
said
okay.
that, I was like, oh shoot, I could see him in his white shirt and his jeans. And I was like,
Yeah,
whoa, dude. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I met him too. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
for reminding me.
Yeah, no
That's
problem,
pretty
man.
cool.
No problem. Yeah, he's to me he was a good guy. They should have let him in a long time ago, but whatever. That's too late now.
Well, I mean, bugs though a little bit, and I won't talk long on it, but there's so much bullshit and crazy shit that people get away with today. It's like
Right,
the ones in the past, we need to kind of revisit that and like, was he really that crazy? Did he
right,
really deserve to be kicked out the way he was?
right. Yeah,
You know, the
yeah,
stuff that's going on today, I'm like, maybe we should let him back in. you
yeah,
know,
man.
especially now,
I
so
know. So
it's good.
what's your favorite color?
I have to say black and whatever could complement it, whether it's a nice royal
Okay,
blue, red, purple.
okay. What's your favorite sport?
I love baseball to play it. I mean, I did really well in my younger years. I got too short for football. I like football a lot.
Mhm.
So that's why I would fulfill my desire to play football through John Madden football. You can make those things do like some real shit. It's crazy. But yeah, one of those top two. And then, I like your Ninja Warrior stuff, to the ones who can be athletic and do all kinds of cool
Okay,
acrobatic stuff, and
nice. Your
martial
favorite
arts.
your favorite book?
There. Hmm. I don't have a favorite book. You think that I would read a lot of stories? I don't. I don't. I'm a creator,
Hmm.
so I don't read a lot, but more for reference when I need to, like, okay, you know.
Okay,
So favorite book, I'd say anything that helps me learn things quicker.
okay. That's good. Okay, very good. Now we know a little bit more about Anthony, with all those favors that he has, a little bit more things that I didn't even know myself as well. We're gonna play another game. You up for it? This is called
Yeah.
This or That.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you two choices, and then you pick which one you would rather do. Okay, this one or that one.
Yeah.
Uh, do you like the beach or the forest? Which one do you prefer?
I love them both. I'd say the beach first.
Beach. Okay. Bungee jumping or skydiving?
Neither. I don't like having my stomach all the because I'm the guy who goes like that, trying to hold it, and it's like, oh, you can't. So I'm gonna say bungee jumping because at least there was at least a stop, maybe. No, maybe skydiving because I'd have to be tandem, and yeah, I don't
Okay.
know, bro. No,
Okay,
I'll stay
okay.
on the ground. I crashed
S-
a plane, in the ocean,
yeah.
so
Salt or pepper?
salt.
Okay. Water or soda?
It used to be soda, but now water at my age.
You're not
Oh,
that
dude,
old. You're not that old. Come on.
dude, let me tell you right now. I'm going to tell everybody right now. Nobody told me this, and this is from me to you guys. Okay, at age 50, the warranty on your body starts going, dude. Seriously, it's over. It's like breakdown, breakdown. Oh shoot, I broke a tooth. Wait, what? What? Everything, dude. I tore a hamstring for the first time in my life, dude,
Oh
doing something
wow.
silly. 1 year
Yeah.
later, I'm doing
Getting
a
out of
Nike
bed.
commercial. Right? Oh, what was that? Don't roll out so fast, So
Yeah.
yeah.
You were
So
doing a Nike commercial and what happened?
I tore my hamstring like super bad,
Oh
dude. Like
really?
we were doing sprinting all day. I went
Oh
from like
wow.
10 yards to 25, and then all of a sudden it was like 50-yard down a city block, down these cars with a crane following me with a camera. And then I totally did that football thing where you see them running like, yeah,
Yeah.
oh, it's like doing a hop, because you hurt your,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it turned purple, and I had to do workers' comp and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Did you
But I'm
stretch
in a Nike commercial, yeah.
Did you
No,
stretch
well, see, here's the deal.
prior?
I didn't know I was sprinting until day of. Had they told me a week in
Oh,
advance,
okay.
and I would have done all
Yeah.
kinds of preparation,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And so I was like, I'm like, dude. And then they didn't give me the Nikes to run in. That was for the kids. I had to run in work boots, bro. I'm
Oh
the
wow.
construction guy who's chasing the basketball. And I'm like, where's my
Oh wow.
Nikes? Yeah. I was
Wow. Wow.
like, no, yeah, dude, it was a crazy
Yeah.
experience. But it was with Westbrook of the Lakers, stuff like that. And it's always fun in certain
Yeah.
angles, but man, those are set injuries, bro. Like,
Yeah. For sure.
wouldn't
For
have
sure. For sure. So hip hop or reggaeton?
hip hop,
All right.
hip hop.
All right. Cool. Staying in or going out?
Ah, staying in.
Staying
But
in.
you know what? Part of our business, we got to go out and do these appearances and
Right.
red carpets and stuff. So I'm getting better at it.
Okay. Okay. Have you always been a staying in person or no?
No, I mean, when I was a bartender, bro, I mean, I used to make all kinds of cash, and then I couldn't get home with the cash in my pocket because I had to spend it like a rock star, bro. And so
Okay.
let's just say till I settled down and, found my wife, that I
Right.
just said, that's when I decided, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to experience life as a, family and all that good stuff.
Right. Do
So
you
I have
okay. Do you prefer to be on your cell phone or go watch a movie at a movie theater?
I mean, the movie has to be good because I hate going somewhere being stuck in a room for 2 hours and and coming out and like, oh, the sun's gone, or
Right.
but as far as my cell phone's concerned, I don't like it. I mainly use it as a tool. I have to put videos, reels,
Right.
and record the
Okay.
progress, and then something, and do auditions, and so it's more
Okay.
of a tool. I don't like do it for for fun, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Reading a book or listening to a book? I think I already know the answer to this, but we'll see.
listening to the book because I'm a multitasker. Like
Okay.
I like it playing, and I can listen to it while I'm doing something else. And I think my biggest thing is not being lost into one thing for so long that I'm like,
Hmm.
honestly, I'm missing out, but I feel like I'm not, being constructive or progressing or finishing
Right.
what I need to do because that's I got so many things I do. It's almost like, all right, I don't have downtime. Why? Because I need to work on that next, and I got to work on
Hmm.
that next.
Right.
So
Totally understand. Sleeping or eating?
I need sleep, bro. I wish I could do it. So when I'm awake, I definitely will eat.
You didn't give me, you're giving me both.
I wish I could, bro, but the
Uh,
reality is eating.
okay, okay, okay. All right, one more game. This one. I'm gonna give you some information, and or a name of a person or something, and then you could tell me the first words that pops into your head.
Okay.
Okay, right away. Whatever comes to your head, whatever word that is. Ready?
Okay.
Robert De Niro,
Cape Fear.
Al Pacino,
Heat.
Cantinflas,
My Nana.
Audrey Hepburn. You're thinking too much.
I'm trying to find the words. You're right. You're right. I'm thinking too much. Okay.
Uh,
Aubrey Hepburn, Old Hollywood.
okay. Richard Pryor.
Howie Mandel. I'll
All
explain that
right.
later.
Right. That's gonna. Sophia Loren.
Beautiful.
007.
Pretty badass.
Vicente Fernandez.
Tradition.
El Banco.
When am I going to see that motherfucker come out? I'm kidding. John Sito. That's what I think of. John Sito.
Okay, that's a good one. Michael Jordan.
Greatest basketball player ever.
All right. LeBron James. Ooh.
Here's hanging out with Diddy.
Okay. Michael Jackson.
Such a poor, pure soul.
Okay. P. Diddy.
Get that, get that, get that. Fake. I could do all kinds of work. Fucking, I never thought of him as shit, but go ahead.
Oprah.
Wow. Enigma.
Okay. Eddie Murphy.
Awesome.
Chris Rock.
You should have done. Or blocked at least,
I
bro.
mean, one of the greatest comedians of all time, and you're thinking about the slap. That's crazy, huh? How we that's how our minds work, right? Isn't that crazy?
I know. And it's
I mean,
like,
this man is a legend, a comedy genius.
well, my
And we
backup
think about the slap. We think of it now.
well, it's better than what I used to think of first. I suck your dick, man. I suck your dick. Okay, and in
How
New
do you
Jack City, dude,
how do you feel about that slap? What was your take on that?
my
What was
only take on that is, well, first of all, Will, I think you just revealed who you are. You know what I
right?
mean? But first, second of all, it's like I don't stand still for nobody to get that kind of shot on me, right? Even if it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's not like Will was in a position to come back with a second one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just me. I mean, if you're not going to block, get out of the way. I mean, that's just like my simple athletic,
Right.
thing.
Right. Just
But the
moving.
yeah, just move out of the way.
Yeah.
You're athletic. You know what's up,
Yeah.
and so just that's my first reaction. Like whoa, bro. Like
Yeah.
hey, we'll deal with him second, but second first is like get out of the way, man. Don't get hit.
Yeah.
And but I don't think he expected to go that far.
Oh
Maybe he
no.
thought, that he's
No.
like, oh shit, and it happened before he realized that. Oh my god, he's actually that pissed. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And then at that point, I don't even know that I would have. He was more of a man than I was. If you want to say that he just brushed it off and said something funny, because I probably would have been like,
Well,
doing a flying leap off that stage.
I think that slap indirectly made him a bunch of millions of dollars with his comedy the next year, that stand up that he did on Netflix the year after. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did see it. I did see it.
I know he got at least 20 million for that,
Yeah, I
something like
agree. I
that.
mean, it worked out for him. I mean, I think Will's still doing movies too, at this point,
Yeah.
Um,
I'm talking
did it
about Chris. Chris.
I know. I'm like,
Okay.
how did it benefit everybody, you know? I
Yeah.
sometimes I think remember Howard Stern when he came on the scene and everybody's like, "Oh, shock jock" and all that, and more that I've done this industry, it almost seems like any news is good news, right? Whether you're good or bad,
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. For
as long
sure.
as you get the attention on you, you know what I mean? Like,
People have to be talking about you or thinking about you.
Right. And
whatever it is, negative or positive. But that's what, as an artist, as an actor, that's what that's good for you.
yeah, I'm challenged in that area because I don't like to be the bad guy or talked about bad. And so I always try to please and try to do the right things.
Right.
But
But I mean,
eventually,
even if you're a good person, there's people still talk about
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Bad
no, you're
things,
right.
even though you're good, you haven't really done anything bad, but they're still gonna invent something.
That's true.
The
So
way
I
it
have
is.
because I mean, recently I've had to deal with the troll, you know what I mean? And
All right.
and my wife is the one who's more concerned. She's like, you don't know, these days are crazy. Some guy
Yeah.
comes out because he's right wing crazy because I'm politically aware
Right.
and um people I say I don't read books, but I read. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. For
you know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
And so what do you call it? So it's just one of those things where I'm realizing as I get into where I want to be,
Hmm.
that comes with it, right? That's part of
Yeah.
the deal.
Yeah. I try not to get into the political stuff right now, especially as an artist, in that when I'm in that creative, that whole community, because you're never going to be a winner in debating something that, it's there in your face, but a lot of people don't see it, and it's not like I'm inventing something. Gas was $2.16 back 4 years ago. I mean, I want somebody that's going to give me. I'm not going to go into, it, but I'd rather have cheap gas than whatever the gas is right now. Anyway, so and then
So I'm gonna give you a tip. E85, bro. Get a car that uses E85.
E85.
You'd be surprised. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Let's keep going. Meryl Streep. Where's that comes first word that comes into your mouth?
Top-notch professional. The
Okay.
pinnacle of what we want to be as actors.
And last but not least, in this little game here, P Rose.
We need to revisit that guy. Give him the dignity he deserves.
Okay. Okay. What are your hobbies?
I don't really
Ex-
have hobbies. I have work. No, I mean, people call it hobbies. I call it work. It's making music, acting. One thing that I have suffered in, which I wish I had hobbies back up, is getting more in the activities and more, I try to do what I can. I lose weight. I'll work out, do whatever, but I'm
Mhm.
not religious like I used to be when I was younger.
Okay.
I'm more creative now. Like my hobbies are like creating, whether it's
Right.
music, movies, film, editing, reels for your social media. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Uh, One last thing, in regards to the movie that you did in Mexico, that you said that you were, I didn't ask you too much about it, but can you give us a little quick rundown of that experience? The one that you said that about the border or something, or
Yeah. Okay. So years ago when I was starting, I had a local. Uh, his name is Roy Durantes.
hmm.
He's a local newscaster in the field reporter. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
and those in the field reporters, they have to film their own stuff, edit their own stuff, get it ready to get it on air.
Right.
And he interviewed me, and I saw him like, how quickly he worked a one man thing, like like us, right?
Right. Right.
And I knew his ability was above and beyond what's in the area. And I talked about, mobile filmmaking, and I was talking to him and telling him, like, you know what, Hollywood comes out to where we're from to film all the time. Every movie you can think of in the desert, in the freaking dunes, in the border, they film down there, right? What do you call it? The Mayans did a bunch of stuff down there in Arizona, Nogales, and Imperial Valley.
Right.
All that stuff gets filmed out there. I said, the first person, since he was already down there in the television industry, if you will,
Hmm.
not movie making because they're different.
Right.
If anyone can do it, you can do it. You've got all this here. You just need to, if it's just your cell phone or your freaking TV cameras, just do it. Well, he'd already done his own projects, but he started looking at it differently now that we were becoming friends and I was giving him, some input. And he finally wrote, during this pandemic, he likes to do movies with a cause or, have a
Right.
topic of
Yeah.
humanity. And during the pandemic, the violence and the murder against women just skyrocketed. And this guy does his research. He's a reporter, so he does all his research. What are the stats on this and this and that? And so we took like some narrative examples. They're kind of like based on stories, but we had to fictionalize them, of course.
Hmm.
Um, And we took a few ladies because a lot of these are turning up missing and then dead, and all that. And this was
Right.
happening all over the world, right? Not only just here, but really heavy on the border. And so we did a story around that. And statistic wise, I narrate a lot of the film. I give you statistics that, like, out of all the wars going back to the Korean War to now, like we've lost, like, I don't know, it was like only like 350 troops, 350,000 troops, but we lost like 7,000 women at the same period of time, or
Wow.
700,000 women at the same period of
Wow.
time.
Wow.
And we quote saying it's safer to go to war than to stay home for a woman, and all this was going on, and so it was really important to get it out. And the first edit didn't really hit right, and he's still learning, and I'm giving him input. And then we finally did one more edit, as I mentioned. We sent it across to Europe and got best director, best thriller, best director, best this and that. And then we brought it back over here. Next, we're getting to do it at the Chinese theater, and we got best thriller for that one, and
Mhm.
so we're starting to get some visibility on this side. Well, when we first premiered it, we premiered it in Mexicali, and we did it at the IMAX. And what's crazy that my experience in Mexico has always been very interesting because I'm not from there. It's
Right.
my second language. But anytime I go there, I seem to be treated at a different level, right?
Right.
And so we showed it with in conjunction with some organizations
Mhm.
that he knows out there. And so one thing when you have a movie with a message, sometimes you can bring in organizations who want to
Right.
be, and they can throw in
For the
money to get it
cause. Yeah, for
for the
the cause.
cause,
Yeah.
yeah, and all that. So we were on top of a presentation that was already happening at the IMAX in Mexicali, and then we had like hundreds of people, the panel, interviews from the media, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like I'm in Mexico, but like I'm ready for this. I want to do this in the U.S., but hey, I'll take it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so, it was great to premiere it there, and got good reception, and now it's getting a lot of visibility. Well, we're already on our second film about the exploitation of
Oh,
kids,
right.
which is the topic right now.
Right.
And we've got some great shots there. We had some lucha libre group that wanted to be in our movie, so we had this venue to film at. We have
Mm.
wrestling and rings and everything going on.
Wow.
No budgets, bro. Right?
Yeah,
Low.
I
We have
totally understand. Yeah.
little
So
budget now.
so you shot the first one in Mexicali in Mexico, or
And in the Imperial Valley in
but
Brawley,
is but
Calexico.
is it a full feature,
Yeah, it's a full feature. Yeah.
and it's a film, not a documentary?
It's a film. It's a narrative film based on true stats and
Okay.
story. So, like,
Okay.
we had a woman in the movie who sparked the movie. She was married to a cop in TJ. Things didn't go well. He was looking for her. She makes it to Mexicali and is hiding
Hmm.
out there. Meets my friend, tells her his story. He starts coming up with ideas of, like, okay, how do we show her story without making it about her?
Right.
That's when he goes into this to the studying and the statistics and all the information out there. Especially this is happening during COVID, and he starts uncovering all these other things. Like, oh my god, right?
Mm.
So there's a twist in this movie because my character, um, it opens up with my brother and sister-in-law coming to ask me to help find the killer of their daughter,
Mm.
and I'm reluctant to do so, because her boyfriend was a violent guy. He went down to Mexico to hide, and that's what brings me into Mexico to start asking some questions. And I got
Right.
people working for me there, and I'm on this side trying to solve the problem. And at the twist at the end, well, you'll have to watch it. No, just kidding. It's not out yet. I'll tell you. Let's just say that statistically wise, women are victim to about 90% of the time to people that they know.
Wow. Wow, really?
It's
That's crazy.
Yeah, like low percentage on random strangers,
Right.
high 90+% on someone they know or connected to.
Wow.
And so,
That's
yeah.
some good information. That's interesting information there. Wow.
So
You wouldn't
this
think,
movie,
right? You wouldn't think.
no, you wouldn't. There's so much you wouldn't think, man. Like the whole
Right.
thing about how many women have died in the same period of our wars, how many troops versus women during the same period just in the U.S.
Wow.
And the numbers are double than going to war. And so, and then also 80% of the women and children on the way over with the
Right.
coyotes and everything, they get molested and
Oh
assaulted on
yeah.
the way here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, all that's we threw all that in there, and these
Mm.
are all statistics that you can look it up.
Hmm.
He's a reporter in the field, so he's
Right.
about information being accurate, right?
right.
So he did all that research, just like we did the research for the exploiting of children,
Mm.
which is going to be coming up called Night Children. And we're at the
Nitrogen. Okay.
editing phase and adding the music. I'm going to write the music for it, or at least supervise it. And so that's our second topic. But the first one, as I mentioned, that we're talking about, that is all based on some scenarios, and then we created fictional ones.
Right. So,
So
so
we
you
wouldn't.
is it in Spanish or English?
It's both.
It's
It's both
both.
because we
Okay.
have scenes on the other side of the border, all done in Spanish. I talk
Hmm.
in Spanish when I'm on that side,
Oh,
and when I'm on
okay.
the American side, we speak in English.
Oh,
So
okay. And where do people can see this film?
this film is still finishing out the festival circuit, so it's not quite out
Oh,
yet. We
okay.
will put it on streaming. So that's one where we're like, how to explain this? It's really a good starter for the trilogy we plan on doing, right? So
Hmm.
we're doing that, the women one. So now we have a little bit of money for the Night Children. And then the third one, we're going to actually have a budget, a
Right.
significant budget real film. So there's been learning going on, learning curves. And,
Hmm.
and, and the first one, we had 150 actors. And I'd say me and like maybe a couple more people had acting experience.
Hmm. Wow.
Everyone else was just, and everyone did a great job. We were able to
Yeah.
pull out some performances
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
streams. And so
Yeah.
it's
That's
exciting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's beautiful. And it happens this way. There's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of people that are talented, but they've never acted before. But it's just a natural thing for them.
Yeah.
And either that or they're just not connected to anybody that will give them an opportunity to be on the screen. That's basically it.
My hope and I guess my big picture idea of why I wanted to find somebody down there where I'm from
Hmm.
is because I'm out here doing it, trying to make it, trying to create it.
Hmm.
He's already down there and he's embedded and he's done stuff down there, but now I'm helping,
Right,
consult and do whatever. But my whole thing is that was my contribution back to where I came from to see if we can start bringing, like you said, there's talent out there. Why can't we
right.
develop and create our own out there?
True, true,
Versus
true.
waiting on Hollywood to do everything. And as I alluded to
Well,
before, they're falling
yeah,
apart.
yeah.
They're
And that was one of the main reasons that I chose to do everything in Spanish, just to give people opportunities that because that was one of the things when remember I was telling you I did a lot of circuit in Hollywood, with Central Casting and then with other manager and all that stuff. And I saw, wow, there's not hardly any Latinos in this industry over here in this Hollywood thing. That made me more like wanting to do my own films in Spanish, picking Spanish actors, whether they're from whatever country, but Spanish.
yeah,
And also giving people opportunity, actors, young actors, actresses that have never done anything. Like for example, if you see behind me, this girl right here with the guns, she had never acted before, but I saw something in her. I'm
hmm,
like, this girl's talented. I got and she's fits the part that I want for this for the main villain girl. Look at her. I mean,
yeah, I
totally
believe it.
changed. Totally
Yeah.
changed. Like a different person, like a different actress, just everything. She just became a professional throughout the course of filming.
You're making a good point here because like that's kind of like how I feel about acting, right? Like I don't want to go learn more to change what I've been doing, right?
Hmm.
Where you have somebody who I'll say she's moldable in a sense, but in the fact that she's pure, you're getting
Right,
something out of her, right? That
right,
you won't get out of somebody who's trained, who's
right.
going to do it
True.
like this because that's all it was taught. I was like, well,
Yeah,
you and everybody were taught that way.
true,
It's like,
true. Yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
exciting.
yeah, it's very, very exciting. And well, Anthony, it's been great. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this podcast.
It's great.
And uh, last words, what can you tell the audience, people that want to get into this industry, uh, some good advice from you? Where do they start? Where do they go? There's all kinds of people that are con artists that take advantage of these actors and actresses and people that have no clue of what's going on. What can you say about to them? What advice can you give them?
So first of all, you got to know if you have it in you to do it. Okay, it's not easy. It's relentless persistence. Yes, you can be lucky. I feel that I'm blessed. I'm lucky that for what I've done. but it wasn't without research. You know what I mean? I'm looking up
Right.
who's who and what's what, so I don't get taken advantage by someone who's not really going to deliver on their part of the deal. Because it does take a team to get a project out. I mean, that it
Right.
takes people, and Hollywood's got it down. It's crazy when you're there and you see like 100 people running around.
Right. Yeah.
It's like chaos, but they all know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
it's like, gets done, and that's why they're at this level.
Right.
So, and whatever level it is, to me, acting or trying to do this, it's not about, who's above who and whatever. No, it's like a road to me, and people are just further down the road. If you put the work in and do what they're doing, you're going to get some similar results. It'll be different. We're all different. And like we talked about earlier, you're the product. What are you putting out there? You almost have to step out aside from yourself, and how do you want your persona as an actor to be? You're the
Right.
product. How do you present yourself? My real name is not Anthony De La Cruz. De La Cruz is my mom's maiden name. So it is part of me.
Hmm.
It is true to me. But I had to go from like, okay, how do I want Anthony De La Cruz to be? There's certain roles that I didn't audition for because I didn't want that under my belt. I don't
Right.
want to be a molester. I don't want to be
Right.
this.
Right.
And so I've turned things down, even though it could have been a big thing for me.
Hmm.
And it was a big project and it was like Hollywood. I'm like, no, I can't do that. No. So it's
Hmm.
really about, first of all, think of, who, do you want to do this? Do you have the drive? You're going to do all that. And then secondly, once you know that you're the product, then you got to start putting the work in. You might be doing free work at first just to get the clips you need to create a reel. So then you have a reel and now you're looking professional. You got headshots and then maybe you can get an agent, but you don't even need to get an agent. I didn't have an agent for like 12, 13 years of my career. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I did a lot. And it's only because, hey, maybe it's me. We all do it differently, but do what works for you and
Right.
educate yourself the way, what works for you. But there's no magic bullet. And, networking is a big, huge thing. You need to know who's making movies. If they like you, want to work with you, guess what? You got a better shot than the guy they don't know or the guy they don't like. So
Right.
there's so much to it. So first of all, start off by, do you have what it takes to pursue this, thinking, and you almost have to like think that you're not going to get it. If you never get it, do you want to do this? To me, I don't plan on retiring. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm the guy that's going to keep trying to get jobs all the way till I drop on set or something, you know? And
Right. Right.
so maybe it's different from you. Maybe you're a rich kid and don't have to do all what I do, So it's just, you have to invest in yourself, want it more than anything, put the work in, and things will happen as they
Yeah.
should. I mean, I've had, like, we discussed, I had two big things that anyone could wish for, and I was on lockdown in COVID, dude. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
anything can happen, whatever God's plan is, if you're good with it, roll with it. Just
Okay. Well, thank you for those words, words of wisdom, education, and experience right here.
thank you.
With Anthony de la Cruz. Hey, Anthony, how can they contact you if they want to reach you, see your stuff, what you're putting out there?
The basic information I say is I do have anthonydelacruz.com you can go to. I do, mobile photography, videos. I do my music's there, my acting's there, all the stuff's there. Before they made link trees and all that, I created a hub, and I made
Hmm.
this years before that even started going. So what I would say, the basic stuff, go to my IMDb. That's what I like to keep updated with all my work, and of
Hmm.
course, it makes me more popular in the industry. um, but in my Instagram, it's of course at or whatever the symbol is, anthonydelacruz.artist on Instagram. That's
Okay.
where I mainly put reels up, and I add music, I do all kinds. So I have fun with that. But anthonydelacruz.com will give you everything. And then, believe it or not, if you just Google my name, it gives you a lot of my stuff too. So
Awesome. Thank you for that, everybody. Hit up some of his movies. Check him out in all the commercials. He's got all kinds of
and
stuff for you guys.
coming up, Matlock, one of the first few episodes coming up, I'll be in it.
Matlock,
Um, Matlock, it's on CBS Paramount. That's brand new coming
CBS.
out.
What day and
Mhm.
what time do you have that information yet?
I believe it's October 19th. It's a Thursday. It could be the 17th, whatever that Thursday is, at
Okay.
9 o'clock, I believe it is.
Okay.
West Coast time, so I'm sure it's earlier or different
All right.
times.
All right. I'll make an exception and watch something because I don't have time for that, but I'll check you out.
I'm gonna
I'll
say
check you out.
watch the first episode
Watch
because it's
the
awesome. Yeah, no, they already did a sneak peek like last week, and it was really cool the way they addressed Matlock. And
Okay.
if you don't get to mine, don't worry. My next interview, I'll point you at it. So
All right. All right,
yeah,
Anthony, thank you so much. It's been a blessing and an honor to have you in 30X uh, ED. And hopefully we'll see each other again. Not 4 years later, but hopefully soon. I know you're really busy, and but yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're a positive man, and I admire you for that. And we got to create and share the knowledge. Thank you for everything that you
anytime,
do for the
anytime.
world,
Appreciate it. We'll be back to talk about El BanKo when it's time.
for sure.
All right,
Thank you,
take care.
buddy. Everybody, I'm John Sito, Anthony de la Cruz. Peace. See you next time.